What's up, guys? Welcome to another edition of Average Aaron's Auto Videos, and today we are on a 98 Dodge Ram 2500. I know normally it's my 03, but I sold that, helping a friend replace some suspension components here on a 98 Dodge Ram. So what we're gonna do is replace the struts, which are basically a shock inside the coils on the passenger side of the vehicle. And I've got a light in here, and you can hear my son in the background. And he's excited because people are telling him something. I love it when people tell us things. So here's what I'm gonna offer to you guys is up in here, you've got this mount, and there is a bolt right there, which I've already taken off, and I've sprayed with PB Blast because this thing is many years old. It's a 98. And so I sprayed it with PB Blast to kind of loosen the rust so it'll be easy to get off, because you don't want to strip these. If you do, it's kind of a challenge to get off, but you all probably figure that out anyway. All right. That's what I did before. But the very first thing I did was I took the wheel off the side, and then it allowed me to come down here. Up here, you've got the other portions are 15 millimeters. I went ahead and sprayed those as well. And then once you get the wheel off, I've got it jacked up with some jack stands as well too. And then what I also did was I used a smaller jack to lift up this arm right here to relieve some of the pressure on the nut that is right there, and that's a 21. We're about to pull that off. All you have to do is pull this off, and then these three bolts, 1, 2, and then the one on the inside of the engine bay. Once you get those off, very carefully work its way and come out the top. And you gotta make sure you don't break any of these hoses, so the master cylinder, any of that stuff as you get it out of here. It's gonna be tight, but we'll try to video that coming out if we can. On the passenger side, when you guys get to that one, it's way open, plenty clear, all the room in the world to just pull this out when you get it. But I'm gonna take a quick pause. We're gonna remove this, and I'll show you what it looks like to get this piece out of the center. All right, so my apologies, we didn't show getting it out of here because it took 3 of us to get this bad boy out of here. And we already took the top off with 15 or 19 millimeter deep well socket here. But the challenge is, when it's fully extended, you can't get it out of there because you can't angle it because of the coil. So what you need to do is, while you're having a hand doing it, like compress it and keep it pushed in like this if you can. And if you can get some rope around there to tie it, because the new ones come with some binding on it, that'd be useful. But you gotta compress it and keep it all the way pushed in order to fit it out of this super tight space in there. That's the only way we get it out. And honestly, we put some pressure against the master cylinder here and had to just lift that up ever so slightly, and against some of the wiring harness there, we had to move that out of the way. Right in there, just had to move that out of the way a little bit, but it was tight. So when you get the new one, I'll show you what that looks like when you get out of the box. Keep it compressed until you fit it in there, and then you can put the stuff on there and tighten it in. We'll come back and show you the new one. All right, so we got the new one here. See how it's compressed? I'm gonna leave it like that until I get it seated in there, and then I'm gonna cut that stuff off once I get it in the grooves inside the truck. So your new part will come with this rubber and this metal right here, and then you'll put this on top right there, and then we'll put this, and then with the metal on top, and then finally this bolt on top of that. I'll turn this way, of course. So that's how that piece is gonna go in there. So we're gonna seat it in there, and then I'll show you what it looks like once we get it seated in there. All right, so I unfortunately broke this plastic retainer that held it compressed, but the reason I had to do that is because this part up here was sitting above the bolt, which prevented this little piece of metal to go down all the way. It was pushing it up here, and because of that, I couldn't fit the bolt on top with everything else. So I had to push the plastic down, but it didn't push, it just broke. And so I've used some rope, and I've held it compressed and tied to itself, which I'll just feed through, and then I can untie when I get it on. So if you do break it, use some rope. All right, I apologize. I got totally ahead of myself and didn't get a chance to film us putting this on and the process we went through. So what I will tell you is, keep this thing compressed like we did. We ran a rope through there and tied it around. That worked really well. We fed it in here. That worked great, but we had the truck jacked up by the control arm. So if you can lower that, that'll give you a little bit more freedom, because this spring is gonna wanna shoot down, or the shock is. And the hard part is, you won't be able to line up for that bolt underneath right here to line up on that 21 millimeter bolt. it's a pain in the butt to line up. So if you can let this arm come down a little bit, that'll help you. Or if you get really lucky when you cut the string or whatever you use to compress it and it falls into place, good on you. But what we also did was we loosened these and didn't have these bolts on here, so the shock could go all the way up to the top. And then what we did was we would compress it and push it down, and then we pull it up real quick, and as it was going down like this, we put the bolt in from the side and got it down there at the bottom. One of the things we did too, as you can see, this little metal tab sticking out right there, there's the bolt on the back side that actually holds that into place, but lining that up was a huge pain in the butt. So that just takes a little bit of patience, but you can do it. And then also I had to stick a tool in through this side right here to hold this in place to get the thread started. Once we got it started, it wasn't a big deal, but to get it started, it took us a good 5 minutes of continuous twisting almost to finally get it lined up, get the pressure, get everything aligned, and get that on there. Once we got that in there, it was real easy to just push down this tri-bracketed mounting bolt, put on the 15s, and we were good to go. And you can see we got the new bushing and piece of metal on the bottom. And then on the top, I'll show you the thread. If I grab a light here, I'll show you the thread. So we got about 3 threads sticking up on the top of our new piece of hardware there with the rubber bushing and the metal plate on top to hold it in. So that's how far we tightened it down. And this is, again, this is a 19mm bolt. And that's how we did it. So we're gonna do the passenger side now. We already got the wheel off, and I will show you some of that. So again, 15mm bolt right down there, 19 right there on top, that's fine. And then to get this 21 off, right, wherever it is in there.
Trying to find it.
Yeah, right in there. It'll be a little bit of work to get a tool in there, but we can do it. Use an extension, it'll be fine. And we'll come back and show you what this looks like. Hopefully I won't get ahead of the film and you guys can see it in progress. All right, so for this bolt to come out, it just keeps turning because you got to push it through and there's tension on it from the strut. So what we're going to do is we're going to release these and let them, we're going to undo these right here as well as the one in the bay and let the strut kind of lift up, and then that'll release some of the pressure so that we can push this bolt out. That bolt that's hiding right in there. So to do that also, you can't see it right here because the light won't allow it, but it's barely sticking out right in there. And one of the things you can do is stick something in from this side that's flat, nothing sharp, because you don't want to mess with the threads, and kind of bump it out. So we'll do that right now. All right, so once you undo those 15s, it's going to come up, and you got to watch this line in here. Just move it out of the way. Well, it shouldn't be too big of an issue. You can kind of press it back down, and we'll get that lifted out of here in no time. All right, so we got ours on this side of the hose that you see right there on the right side. But to do that, we had to push down from the top and then pick it up real quick so that we could then stick a screwdriver in the bottom to hold it, to keep it short enough to lift it out, to get a screwdriver in there. So you may have to do that as well. Just play with the compressing it and pulling it quick method. Good luck. All right, so we got it in there, but one of the things we did is we dropped it. We had the jack lifted up there, but we dropped this so it could come all the way down, and that way we could line up the hole from there, from the bolt that came in from this side, that and went that way. So that helped us a lot on this side. I recommend you guys do that as well. Again, we used PB Blast to loosen up all these bolts beforehand too, so we didn't have to work too hard opening them, and they didn't like strip out or come off or incorrectly or something like that. So again, hope this video helped you guys learn how to change I think it's a strut because it's inside the coil, but it's still a shock of some sort. I hope this video helped you guys. If so, hit that like button, subscribe, all of that good stuff. Hit all of the buttons. And if you got any questions, feel free to hit me up, and I'll try to answer it as best I can. Again, thanks for watching, and we'll see you guys next time.